A recent article in Chinese state media points to China's intentions of building a direct rail line from China to Pakistan. Predictably, this news was picked up by several news outlets, both within the country and outside. In this video, we will seek to understand the China-Pakistan rail link, the various implications and challenges that it has, and the larger context of China's investments in Pakistan. Hello and welcome. My name is Bhuvan Apoorva, and you are with StudyIQ. First up, let's try and understand the basics of the China-Pakistan rail link. Firstly, it seeks to connect Kashgar in Xinjiang to Gwadar in Pakistan. Now, obviously, this is a major port that exists in Pakistan and is of immense strategic significance, not just to Pakistan, but also to China. This 3,000-kilometer rail line will link Western China to the Arabian Sea. Once China has a direct access to the Arabian Sea, it has the advantage of bypassing the Strait of Malacca. Regular viewers of this channel will know that the Strait of Malacca is a strait of immense significance. Why? Because close to 70% of China's petroleum and LNG exports is shipped through this particular area. With the China-Pakistan rail link coming into operation, China would have reduced its dependency on the volatile South China Sea. Obviously, this would be a strategic choke point to China. However, China is looking to circumvent and create route number 2 for its goods and for maximizing its exports. Thus, Chinese get a direct access to Europe via Iran and Turkey. Now, moving forward, the China-Pakistan rail link has to be understood as a part of Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative, the BRI. The BRI, which is at the center of the Chinese Premier's foreign policy, is of immense strategic significance. Why? Because it seeks to increase China's cultural, economical, and political significance, not just within the realm, but also in the larger world. This will also lead to the revival of CPEC in Pakistan. Again, a debatable question. The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, a project that was launched with much fanfare, may have run into some turbulence, with the own shortcomings of Pakistan, in fact, coming to the fore. We will be discussing that in a few moments. Obviously, this project will be considered to be a project of strategic importance for China. Why? Because China believes that the project will shift balance of power from Western-dominated routes. Here you have China, which is looking to become the centerpiece of global trade and economics. And the Belt and Road project, the Belt and Road Initiative, is its marquee project insofar as its dominance is concerned. Again, CPEC, which is its bilateral trade, which is a special agreement with Pakistan, which has now more or less become its vassal state owing to economic dominance of Chinese in Pakistan, is something that we will also discuss during the course of this video. Now, one thing where India comes into this picture now. So this proposed rail line from Xinjiang to Gwadar is going to pass through Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. What are the implications for India insofar as this rail line is concerned is something that also needs to be factored in. Again, the project has other big challenges, such as terrain. You are going to have to pass through the arduous, the absolutely monumental and expanse in size, the Karakoram range. How is it going to be possible for the Chinese engineers to cut through such rough terrain is another question that needs to be answered. You have the Khunjerab Pass. Students of various examinations may note this exclusively. The Khunjerab Pass, again between Pakistan and China, is going to be traversed and crossed by this proposed China-Pakistan rail line. Next up, we will look at the challenges of the railway project. Now you have a host of people who are coming forward and saying, you know what, this shows China's willingness to invest in Pakistan. It's almost like a foregone conclusion for some. However, there exist severe challenges to this project. Number one, obviously, is the financial feasibility. Now, China in the past has constructed infrastructure and transport-related infrastructure across the world as part of its projects, as part of its outreach. Firstly, you have had in Kenya the rail link from Mombasa to Nairobi. Okay? The Chinese contributed only 5%. The rest of the 95% was borne by Kenya, which essentially got the money from Chinese banks. It was a loan. Thereafter, you had the Ethiopian example. China gave 30% of the funds, the rest 70% to be managed by Ethiopia and Djibouti. Again, Indonesian example. China gave 75%, Indonesia coughed up the rest 25%. Which means that most of these infrastructure projects under the BRI require the host country to have some sort of financial caliber to invest. However, when you factor in the state of Pakistan, well, Pakistan is essentially broke, right? It lacks the financial ability to pull off a project of such massive proportions. So Pakistan's GDP is just 370 billion, 6 times the cost of the project. What is essentially being conveyed here? This is debt trap diplomacy in action. If Pakistan were to go ahead with this, knowing its financial ability, its financial realities, well, essentially, it would be putting itself in a prime position to succumb to China in the near future, at least economically, if not as a country as a whole. Okay? Pakistan will rely heavily on China for investment and construction. It just does not have the finances to fund such a project, especially when you consider that the whole CPEC is a project worth 50 billion, whereas this entire rail line is being projected at close to 58 billion. Now, please understand that these are essentially just estimates. Like I told you, the terrain is difficult. It's arduous. It's going to be a challenge. All bets are off insofar as this 58 billion going upwards is concerned. Obviously, at the same time, you have Pakistan's poor labor policies. It has also been asked to undertake reforms by different organizations such as IMF, World Bank, Asian Development Bank. However, Pakistan's own limitations, its own shortcomings, has eroded its credibility in the international market. It refuses to take the hard decisions owing to lack of political stability. And at the same time, you have a security situation in Balochistan. Again, an area from where this proposed rail line is proposed to pass. So with these realities currently in operation, a lot would have to be changed if the Pakistan-China rail line has to become a reality. Thereafter, now we come to India's role. Like I told you, the project passes through Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Now please understand, if China and Pakistan were to alter the status of POK in the middle, India here, what would you think is going to happen? Do you think India will let status quo prevail? Or let the things as it is playing out, let it play? The odds are again stacked against Pakistan in that sense, insofar as India's response is concerned. India may react with force to any change in status quo, and in fact, the closest evidence of that, we had External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar, who rebuked Pakistan and asked to vacate Pakistan-occupied Kashmir as recently as at the meeting of SCO in Goa. So the question that I want to pose to all the viewers watching this right now, will India's hand be forced? What's your take on that? Do you think India will let the status of POK be changed? Or do you think that India's hand may well be forced in this exchange that's happening between China and Pakistan insofar as POK is concerned? Which is why this all-weather strategic partnership that the Pakistani claim that they have with China, well, it may run into some serious turbulence, not just because of its own shortcomings, but also when you factor in the Indian role, the Indian response to any such measures to alter status quo insofar as POK is concerned. Now, what is the Chinese model? So we have several models. So we have PPP, BOT. We must have heard of all of these. However, the Chinese have a model which is known as the build and transfer model, which means China is responsible for designing, building and financing the project, and thereafter it transfers the ownership to either the Pakistan government or its entity, its railway department. So why does China do this? Is obviously to offset its own financial risk, to make sure that Pakistan is also an equally responsible entity insofar as management and operation of this is concerned, and that it's not just China's liability to bear. So with ownership going to Pakistan, China wants to showcase its commitment for Pakistan's long-term development and refute those allegations that China has essentially made Pakistan a vassal state. So, at this moment, it would be pertinent for all of us to consider, is the project not feasible? Well, the project, again, like I told you, would have to pass through the hard terrain of the Karakoram region, an area which remains snow-covered for at least 4 months a year, which means you are going to have to build tunnels. Again, a risky maneuver, which will be driving up the costs of the entire project. Again, the 58 billion is most likely a conservative estimate insofar as this proposal is concerned. We will also have to factor in the environmental concern. Several experts have raised their doubts at the environmental risks associated with such a project. At the same time, the CPC's total investment in Pakistan, like I told you, is 50 billion. In the past, Chinese companies have faced many issues when it comes to payments. Again, a shortcoming of Pakistan, which can only be attributed to Pakistan not having the guts to actually undertake reforms, long-lasting reforms that are needed to make sure that it has at least the basic ability to enter into such an agreement with China. Which is why political instability in Pakistan is something that they need to address. Again, we had a previous project from Karachi to Peshawar, which was launched again with much fanfare. A shining beacon of China-Pakistan friendship, they claimed. However, that hasn't taken off yet. So this was I, Bhuvan Apoorva, explaining to you whether the 58 billion touted China-Pakistan rail link is indeed something of strategic significance that can benefit China in the future, or is it just a pipe dream, a fantasy, another example of the failed dealings that Pakistan gets into. On that note, it's a wrap. Thanks for watching.